Today on the Lucie Colors of Heart show.
Like I completely immersed myself into the culture. I saw also the differences between how different countries and cultures do sales. In certain situations, it's important that you know the language because you might really end up in uncomfortable positions. That was a very crazy experience. Everyone thought like, what is wrong with her? Like, why does she think that she could do this? That was when I decided then that I want to start my own company. At some point, you just want to have your things around. You just don't want to live in someone else's stuff all the time. It might not be easy to make friends, that you really have to challenge yourself, go out to events and meet people. So culture shock, that's fine. I think that releases a little bit the tension and the stress, and that it can be really difficult and really challenging. It can be beautiful, but it can be also very, very challenging.
Hi, I'm Lucia and we are watching the Lucie Colors of Heart show. Today is episode 2. If you missed episode 1, link is below. Watch it first because this is second half of the interview with Petra. Petra is Slovak living in Austria. Before that she lived in Germany and she also spent some time in China. And we will be talking about it right now. Enjoy the interview.
Also, I wanted to ask you about currencies. Do you have like a Imagine calculator in your head and counting everything into your currency?
No, of course. I mean, it's very funny because I recently heard someone say that's weird if people do that. Like you should just, think in the currency. You don't have to constantly recalculate. But honestly, as long as you're not spending like years and years and years, in the country, so that you're so used to it, so it's like your second nature to think about this currency, or think in this currency, then I wouldn't know how to do that. I need to know what is the value of the product, right? So it's not only about recalculating, it's about knowing how much things actually cost, because I just don't know, right? So no, I'm constantly doing it, whether I'm traveling or whether it's like honestly, when I was in China, I was constantly doing this. I couldn't even imagine not doing it, right? It's like, or in any other country where again, like if you're not staying there for years, I think it's impossible to just be like, what, no, I'm totally fine, just thinking in the new currency from now on.
Now I need to ask finally, what brings you to China?
Well, that was basically, I went there with my former employer. So I went there to support the branch there. So there was like, this company had a couple of branches all across the world, and China was one of them. So it was in Shanghai, and basically back then it was supposed to also, like, I was supposed to gain more intercultural experience in there, because I worked and I still work as also in my business, I also work with one big Czech corporation where I give intercultural trainings for them. So back then it was the aim was to learn also a lot about the Chinese culture. So I also studied Mandarin, which I completely forgot because I'm not using it, of course. So everything that I learned I forgot, which is so stupid. But then I was supporting the sales team there as well. So I basically went also to sales meetings and visited the companies, which was super interesting because I saw also the differences between how different countries and cultures do sales, and it was super interesting for me. It was a really cool experience, and I must say, it's just so awesome if a company really enables you something like this, right? So it's not necessarily they're sending you there just for you to, to do something and achieve something, but really to also learn and experience a different culture. So that was really cool.
That's so cool. How long you stay there?
It was just 3 months. So it was just 3 months, but very intense 3 months. So I felt like I completely immersed myself into the culture, since I learned the language, and I was living there alone. I just had a couple of colleagues, and basically every evening I had such a bad house, like the house I was living in, or the apartment I was living in was like really bad. So basically it forced me to go out and engage with people and experience things. So I was pretty much every evening I was somewhere, and it was really intense. It was really intense. So I feel like I was in China for a way longer time than I actually was, but it was really nice. It was a really nice experience.
Wow, my brain is spinning right now. You learn Mandarin in 3 months?
Yes. Oh my God. No, but it was funny because I was a
What?
little bit forced to learn it because it's like in certain situations it's important that you know the language because you might really end up in uncomfortable positions. Like for instance, the taxi driver, you tell them where they're supposed to go and they don't know, and they're not going to tell you, hey, I don't know where this is and I don't have the navigation, but they're literally going to bring you somewhere and drop you off in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my God.
And that happened to me once. They dropped us off, and thank God at least I wasn't alone, but it was in the middle of like people on the street, and it was super weird neighborhood. I was just like, what the hell, where am I? And so by the end I knew exactly how to tell the taxi driver where to drive me. So I always had my phone in my hand and I was like looking at the maps. I was like, okay, he's going the right direction. And then I was even telling him where to go, because if they didn't know, I was navigating the taxi driver,
Wow.
So and honestly, if you ask me now, like, so I would know how to say, go straight, go left, and you have to do this and this. I don't know any of it now. It's like so crazy. I forgot everything because I'm not using it anymore, right? So
Sure.
yeah. So I could speak a little bit, but just a little bit, of course. After 3 months, it's a very difficult language. So, I mean, after 3 months, you can't possibly know the language. That's impossible.
But it's still very impressive. Because like it's totally different language according to
Yes.
Slovak. It's a
Yes.
different family.
It's completely different. There is nothing you can really like, when I was learning Russian at school because I was just interested in it. I really liked language. And it's so different because like in Russian, there is like a common base, right? There is something that helps you when you're learning it, at least in the beginnings, it's really easier. But learning a language like Mandarin, it's like, there is nothing helpful for you, just like, it's like completely something different. So yeah.
Wow. How many languages you speak?
Well, fluently, I speak German and English, right? So when we're talking about fluent, the way really using it for work and so on. So these two languages. And
Don't forget your mother language.
Yes, my mother language is Slovak. And sometimes I also say that I speak Czech, although I never speak Czech. I just always, when I even have clients, like I
it's like two in one package.
Yes, it's like, yeah, but it's so funny because like my boyfriend was, when I was the last time I was like filming some webinars for the client that I mentioned. And my boyfriend came with me, and and we were in a shop, and I was speaking Slovak to the salesperson there, and my boyfriend's like, you speak Czech? And I'm like, yes, I do, but I speak Slovak right now and they understand me, it's like, and he's like, so is it like the same language? I'm like, no, it's like two different languages. It's just like we do understand each other, So it was very funny for him, I think, to get to understand the situation, right? Yeah, I mean, I think there are also other examples, but it's very hard to compare the relationship because, like, for instance, like the Balkan countries, like the Serbian. I have also friends from Serbia, from Bosnia, and I know that the language is almost the same. So these are different languages, but they are really pretty much the same. And I don't think that's also a great comparison because I think Slovak and Czech are not fully, they're like understandable, but they're also words that are completely different, but we still do understand them,
Yeah.
So it's very hard to compare it to something. But yeah, sometimes I then say, I also speak Czech. So that's very practical. Yes, and I mean, as I mentioned, I was learning Russian and Mandarin, and Russian, I could speak Russian definitely better than Mandarin because it was easier to learn. But again, I'm not using it now, so it's very hard. If I would travel there, if I would stay there for a while, I guess it would come back at least a little bit. But right now, if you start a conversation with me in Russian, I would be just staring at you and be like, okay, what do you want from me? Привет. Спасибо. That would be it,
До свидания.
До свидания.
Yeah, I had Russian in school for 2 years, and I think I remember like 20 words, maybe. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's like you do remember certain things, but again, like if you don't use it, you lose it. I think really, if you're at the level that you're very advanced in a language, that's where you don't forget it so easily. But if it's like a beginner level, you're learning it and then you don't use it, I think you just forget it. It's like it's very sad.
Yeah.
I want shopping time! You must have this. Hey you, sorry for interrupting, but because we talk about languages and how important it is to know the language in a certain situation, I was thinking I would like to show you my favorite language app. It's called Mondly. Obviously, you can see my screen here. So, I will walk you through it. So, let's go. Daily lessons. Rido.
Gezi,
See, trip, gezi.
anahtar,
Key, anahtar. I need a hotel. Yes.
oda,
And now we can see
Gezi.
quick review. I learned
Otel.
7 phrases right now.
anahtar.
So here's like quick
Bir
recap.
otele ihtiyacım
What I
var.
save into my memory. Continue. I got 13 points. It's showing me day 1 because I'm stupid and I accidentally skipped one day. So I'm starting my progress from beginning, but whatever. Let's continue. And I want to show you, you can see your statistics here. Like I said, I skipped a day, my bad. So my daily progress is not good right now. When I go back, you can see categories here, which you can access only if you have a premium account. So if you want to upgrade, if not, it's okay. You can just practice daily lessons, that's also fine. And you can choose from many languages. See, I speak American English, let's change it. I speak Czechtina, that's my native language. And as you can see, there's many other languages. So, mluvím čeština, I speak Czech. Save. Daily lesson, denní lekce. Zopakovat, Rido.
Otel,
Hotel, hotel. See, now it's in Czech, in my native language. Ukončit lekci and the lesson. Yeah, and you can read, you can repeat. It's great for learning. So, from now on, I would like to practice more regular basis. That means every day again. So, I truly recommend this app. That's all from me now, and let's continue in the interview, shall we?
From the China, you traveled back to Germany or you relocated to Austria?
I relocated to Austria.
Why Austria?
Well, I mean, it was an opportunity came up that they basically the branch that they had there was struggling a bit, and the managing director of the branch resigned, and they were looking for someone, and then I proactively, I still remember it, I literally called my former boss from China and and said, hey, you know what? I want to be the managing director in the branch in Austria. So everyone thought I was crazy because I was 25 back then. I was super young. And everyone thought like, what is wrong with her? Like, why does she think that she could do this, right? But somehow I felt that I want to do it and that I can do it. And yeah, so they gave me the job. And it was really hard, I must say. It was, I was pretending like I have it together, but I didn't. So, because I moved to a different country, even though it was closer to home, still, I was alone there. And I was building a new team from scratch. So even the people who started working for me then in that case, or with me, they were new to me as well, right? So it was also about, building relationships. And since the job was so challenging, I spent most of the time just being at work, right? I was working nonstop, which was also very bad for me. And also later on then led to a burnout and really to, also some other issues that I had with my health, like stomach issues and things like that. So it definitely, was really, I mean, from that perspective, it wasn't good at all. Although it was a success. I mean, we really did manage to then grow the revenue of the branch, and the branch started to thrive. So it was, from the work perspective, you could say that I was very successful. From the personal perspective, it was a complete like breakthrough for me, because it was basically, that was when I decided then that I want to start my own company, and that I want to be independent and have my own thing and decide how many hours I work and decide how I work and what I do, and that I do something that's really meaningful. Because I realized that, just climbing the corporate ladder wasn't really for me, because that was the vision for me, right? It's like my boss was like, oh, you can do this and you can do that, and in the beginning it seems like this is what you want, because that's what the society tells you should be doing, but it wasn't for me, because I realized, oh, you know what, the managers, they're not doing anything else, just fighting about stuff that is completely irrelevant, just politics. So just fights and power struggles and these type of things. And I was just like, you know what, but I just want to create awesome things. I don't want to spend my time like having power struggles with the other managers to show who's the better guy and who's the bigger guy in here. I really don't give a shit about this.
If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be notified about the future episodes. And most important thing, don't forget to share with your friends, and always remember, the best way to travel abroad is to live with the locals.
So that was a very crazy experience. I think I stayed there like for another 3 years. So altogether, I've been with the former employer of mine. I worked there, I think, for 6 years or so, which was very long for my first job.
Yeah.
And then I went straight to full-time business owner thing. So,
Nice.
yeah. So
We will definitely talk about it a little bit more deeper about your business. But before that, I have a few more questions about your relocation process. I would like to ask you, when you first time moved to Germany, like how many suitcases you bring?
oh my gosh, I think I had like just like one big suitcase and then one smaller one, and that was it. I mean, I was really trying to keep it like minimal, but on the other hand, I also needed everything for the whole year. So it was more like, my family was really helping me a lot to, bring all of the other stuff, like, whatever I needed, but it wasn't in the apartment. So, also when I was moving, we were supporting, that was a big advantage, right? So it wasn't so far away from, so you could travel there with a car. So, we would just load everything in the car, and that was very practical. So if I would have to fly, that would have been very difficult.
Yeah. So it was probably easier to go to China for 3 months, like packing for 3 months.
Yes, that was way easier. It was indeed way easier. Yeah.
Yeah, because first time I moved abroad, I was moving to US from Czech Republic. And my original plan was to stay there 2 years. So I was packing for 2 years, and I had limit 20 kilos, I think, 30 kilos, I'm not sure. It was really challenging to pack that suitcase. But when I end up in US, things turns little differently than I imagined. So I spent there just 4.5 months and came back to Czech Republic. I moved to Prague. I wasn't living in Prague before, so that was also a change for me. And after, I think, year and a half, I moved to Greece. So story for another day. It's a long
but it sounds
story.
Exciting, and US is for sure also very exciting country to experience when you live there. Where did you live in the US?
Long Island in New York. So I was like 40 minutes by train from New York City. So like every weekend when I could, I was in New York City. It was really cool.
That's really cool.
And even if things didn't work out how I imagined, how I wanted, it was still a really cool experience, and I love New York City.
Would you love to live there again?
Yeah, definitely. It worth it.
It's time for a movie! You should watch this! Salam arkadaşım, hi my friend. See, I'm practicing my Turkish, but that's not the reason why I'm pausing this video again. Right now, I would like to talk about German movie, which is also convenient because Petra was living in Germany before, and the movie is called 100 Things. It's about a very important subject, minimalism. We definitely need to learn a thing or two about minimalism. I definitely do. Two best buddies, Paul and Tony, will make such a crazy bet after they will get totally drunk on the company party. They will wake up following morning in their apartments, totally empty, no furniture, no clothes, no things, everything's gone, and their co-workers will come and explain the rules again, what happened last night, and for the following 100 days, on the midnight, they can take one thing back. Just one thing. Can you imagine that? Would you be able to make such a bet with somebody? I probably wouldn't. It's quite extreme for me. There's definitely more to the story. Check the trailer. I'll link it somewhere. And just before you do, please finish this video because Petra has more things to share. So let's continue.
The moving is like also it's very challenging for me every time because like I don't know, I'm the kind of person, like I think in English they call them hamsters, just like people who are like having a lot of things and have a, like feelings through things. So when I moved to Greece, I took a lot of decorations with me, which I was like attached, or some presents which I get from my friends, like I don't know, some stuffed animals and like dust collectors, you know.
No, I do get that. Yeah.
So I took a lot of them, and also when I moved to Turkey, I was flying few times, like here and back. So every time I bring ridiculous suitcase with my stuff.
No, but I get it. And, you know, like for me, I was moving so much, even within the country, right? So I moved in Passau several times. Also in Vienna, I moved several times. So like in the beginning, I was always like, okay, you know what? I can't buy myself furniture. I can't buy myself things because the next time I'm going to move, it's going to be difficult, right? So even now in this flat that we are living in with my boyfriend, we are trying to be super minimalist, but this time I actually said, you know what, I really want to buy furniture because I was like, you know, for the first time, I just want to feel like I'm living in the furniture that I chose for myself and not someone else chose for me. So of course now the moving would be more challenging, right? But still, I think at some point you just want to have your things around, you know, you just don't want to live in, you know, someone else's stuff all the time. It's just, yeah, I'm really glad that we have, even though it's not much, you know, it's really still like super minimalist, that's really nice. And honestly, like the next time we move, we're just now talking about moving into a house. I would really like to just be able to finally, you also paint the walls, you know, because every time we are moving in somewhere, I'm just like, I'm not going to touch it because then we have to repaint it back to the color that was originally in here, right? And so these are the things that are really somehow also, you know, like when you live in the same place your whole life, you know, you can like constantly improve the place and make it nicer and nicer and buy yourself new stuff. And you're not even thinking about, you know, like these type of things. And this is one thing that I feel like is recently limiting me a little bit, right? Because like we've been always living in rented places. And I would just love to paint the walls, you know, just so weird, just to make it your own. So I totally understand when you said you're bringing these things with you, because that's what's making your place your home, right? There's a different thing living somewhere and actually feeling like it's your home.
Yeah, it feels also like bringing my personality with me.
Exactly.
Like my stuffs are reflecting my personality. So
100%.
when I move somewhere, when it's like rented furniture with other owner stuffs, it feels
it's not you.
Not right. Yeah.
It's not you. Me. Even if it's pretty, at some point you will be like,
yeah,
it's not mine. So
totally.
I do get it. Yeah.
Good. So one final question. What would you recommend to people who are thinking about relocating abroad? What would be your number one advice?
I would honestly say that the best thing is to just be open-minded. I think there is the most important, like, or I think where it really comes like to maybe disappointments or whatever, is that when just people expect things to be the same, and just everything to go smoothly, and maybe they just expect to make friends easily and everything to work in the same routines that they had back home, and you will realize that might not be the case, and might not be easy to make friends, that you really have to challenge yourself, go out to events and meet people, or that you're struggling with the language, even though you thought that you speak it well, or you don't speak it at all, and you realize how different it is from traveling. And you suddenly live in a country that you don't speak the language, and you're there every day meeting locals and you can't speak it, right? Or like other things, like you will suddenly like notice the culture differences as well, and some of them might really bother you, right? So it's just like be also maybe prepared for the fact that it's not going to be easy all the time, and especially in the phase when after you moved in, you might experience a culture shock as well, and just know that it's fine. It's not like it's not a problem. You just have to be open-minded about it. Like, okay, you know what? It's a culture shock. That's fine. It's gonna go away after some time. And also knowing that then you don't like it, there's always, you can always change your decision. Only because you decided one thing doesn't mean that you have to now live in this same place for the rest of your life. I think it's just like you can always change your decision, and that helped me a lot, right? And I sometimes think also for people who are like, should I move away? Should I? I don't like it here. They have a culture shock or just like a bad period, when they're not doing so well, and they're like, should I just move away? And then, just to remind yourself, I can always change. I can always go back. I can always change my decision, and then I think that releases a little bit the tension and the stress. And then you realize, you know what, it's not so bad. I don't have to move back immediately. So, and yeah, and also knowing that, if you realize that the values in the place you're living in are just not compatible with who you are, who you want to be, it's also fine to admit it and say, there's nothing wrong with this culture. It's just like, I don't feel like I fit in, and just be like, you know what, okay, then I'm going to maybe look for another place. Maybe I don't know the place yet where I'm going to feel at home. It's just, yeah, I think you're also always going through different, like good but also bad experiences. And I think people who never moved abroad have no idea how it is, and that it can be really difficult and really challenging. It can be beautiful, but it can be also very, very challenging. And just knowing that, you can always change your decision and you're going to be fine at the end of the day is, like, I think so helpful.
Definitely. That was beautiful what you said. Yeah, totally. Just give it a try, right? You can always come back.
Exactly. Just give it a try.
Yeah,
just
if you don't try, you will never know. So
exactly, you will never know. And you can always change your mind, but just try it out and see how you feel about it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Next time you will see.
For normal life, yeah, it's incredibly different. In 6 months, you can understand that much. You're just getting know everything, like transportation, other things. I mean, it's just new. So it's a bit hard for Turkish people, but it's nice. It's really nice to learn something new. Once a week, I visit Old Town, then cross the Charles Bridge and be around and go home. It's not kind that much in Turkey. I mean, people are not looking at you if you're doing something strange. I don't know why people do that. I mean, it's crazy.
If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be notified about the future episodes. And most important thing, don't forget to share with your friends, and always remember, the best way to travel abroad is to live with the locals.